don't know how many times I recorded. I don't know how many times I rewrote the script. Do you know what? I can't take it. I've lost too many friends. I've seen so much negative shit on the news. I've heard people call themselves leaders and they don't even deserve the title. I tried to look at the Bible for scriptures on how to be a real leader, but it doesn't say anything. I feel like shit because Sunday at church I wanted to really help this man who was really in trouble. Not in the sense that not in the sense that not in the sense that I was trying to harbor a fugitive, but it was in the sense that he just needed somebody to listen. At least so that way he would feel safe. It's like I'm crying because I didn't do anything. And it's probably because I did. I did it. Even though my mom came in here, gave me words of encouragement, my dad gave me words of encouragement. They both hugged me, said I did the right thing by just dialing 911 for him. And I know I'm coming off as a bitch for crying and whimpering over basically spilt milk, but it hurts. It hurts. And the reason why it hurts is friends who I heard were appointed leaders couldn't even keep this man safe. Yeah, sure, there was cops. Yeah, sure, he kept on coming back, but he wasn't a threat. He was misunderstood. That was me. That was me 8 years ago on that Sunday. Yesterday, in fact. That was me. And all that man wanted, all that he wanted was just to be heard. Yet leaders in my church, whether, I don't know who the fuck was out there, I don't remember who the fuck was out there, but I know people were out there. Leaders at my fucking church were afraid. Why are you called leaders? Why were you appointed if you were afraid to even help? Why do you chastise one member of your church? Why did you chastise one member of your church for doing something you should have? I finally understand, I think, what the Great Commission the Lord had said. Let me look that up. Give me a sec. You know what? Screw it. My phone, my internet's not working. Can't even find my goddamn my phone. I just feel like shit because I wanted to at least, make sure that he was safe. I wanted to at least let him know that nothing would happen. That the people that he's afraid of, the people that have it out for him are nothing but worthless punks who need a group of people to do their dirty bidding. I know the feeling that he went through so well. The feeling that he needs to drown his sorrows in a substance, get high, get drunk, just to feel brave. I know that feeling all too well. Yet the leaders in my church couldn't do jack shit. What pisses me off the most is that the people I look up to, my peers, they couldn't do shit. At least talk to the guy. Because this is one of the texts that I said. I'm not gonna mention the person's name when I just said that. Hi, is everything okay at the church? I'm sorry I missed your call. Then the friend replies, I was just wondering because police would have been driving around earlier. And I said there was a gentleman with wounds earlier, claiming to have been assaulted. I tried to help him the best I could. He asked me to dial 911 for him, so I guess he was looking for him. He was incoherent. Friend replies, okay, was he drunk? He looked and smelled like it. He was more hungover than drunk. And then I asked if he was okay at the church, if everyone was okay at the church. And then what really hurts is that I felt like I couldn't keep them safe. I felt like I couldn't keep my own friends and family that I go to church with that safe. But I realized that cops were there. So that I knew immediately that they were safe. At the same time, I feel pissed, upset, hurt. All those feelings that I had as a child growing up, from my adolescence all the way into my late teens or my mid-teens, when I turned 17, after I turned just past 17 years old. I felt hurt, I felt pain, I felt anger, I felt all of those emotions that I thought that I pushed away because I didn't need it though. I never needed those emotions because God came into my heart and He helped me with that, with the people that were at my church. But apparently not, because I have now that resentment back. That resentment is back. More so for the people that are called leaders. Leaders are appointed to guide people, to inspire greatness, and they only really need to do they only ever need to do two things. First and foremost is make the person feel comfortable and safe. Second, allow them to be them so their light will shine and make a place that seems dark a lot brighter. And what I mean by that part is you need to allow the person to go through the motions in order for you to get to the root cause. And I felt like if I had gone back, found the guy, sat him down next to my car, or sat him down, period, I would have been able to at least get him safety and recommend some help, regardless of the situation. And when I was talking about God's commitment and God's commission to us, great commission to us as Christians, it says in Matthew 20, this is the American Standard Version, it says, and Jesus came to them and spoke to them, saying, this is the Old English, can't read that, later. So this is the English Standard Version. Come on, load. It's loading. Sorry, it's taking too long. But he said, and Jesus came to them and said, 28:18, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. So therefore go make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded. And behold, I am with you always to the end of age. So basically, the part that I want to touch on is the baptizing and disciple of all nations part. What I want to talk about in that part is basically, simply put, we are as Christians appointed as leaders. We may not be physically appointed to to we may not be physically appointed to leadership roles in the church, but we all are appointed as leaders. And teaching, by just baptizing them, all you need to do, what Christ did for me, what God did for me through to the church that I go to, was made me feel safe. And baptizing means just to change the person's outlook. Symbolically, that's through water, dipping a person drowning a person in water for 5 seconds, bringing them back up for air. That's basically all that is. But then it goes on to say to teach them all that I have commanded. Now, throughout Jesus' life, he was mild-mannered. He wasn't very hard. He wasn't very harsh, but he was very mild-mannered and applied rhetoric where it needed to be. And what he commanded was to love one another as he loved us. He also commanded that well, he didn't command, but what his example was that in his example throughout his ministry, throughout him changing the face of religion, so to speak, what he did was he dined not only with the rich, but he also dined with those who were of ill repute. And dining with somebody doesn't mean you take them out to Zippy's here in Eva Beach, or here in the islands, and you treat them to a nice meal. No, dining with them meaning it's just talking to them, ministering to them. And sometimes ministering, you don't even need to open up your Bible app and just say, hey, this is the scripture that says A, B, and C. One way you can minister to people, one way you can be a great leader, is simply just by looking at a person, not physically taking pity like, oh, poor thing, but saying, hey, I want you to know that you're safe. You don't need to feel this way. That's one thing that really upsets me, is that I couldn't do that to the best of my ability. Like, I've been around, like, let's just put it this way, the amount of violence that I've seen in my lifetime, let's just put it this way, nobody in my generation has seen. I've witnessed a lot of things that put a lot of people in jail. I held my best friend's hand when he took his last breath. His throat ripped out, pipes in his throat just to keep him breathing, a gash in his stomach from seppuku. I've lost two great friends. One 3 years ago, the other one just recently. They were great leaders because they inspired greatness in two ways. They made a person feel safe, and they made a person feel like themselves. And I was so close in doing that, but I just had to leave him there. And what pisses me off is that people who are appointed to leadership roles in my church couldn't even do that because of their predilection, their predisposition to judgment. So to my friends that I'm directing this video at, let me give you a little brief detail about myself. You already know my name, you already know how old I am. But as a child, I grew up learning how to make adult decisions. Sure, yeah, my mom and dad taught me how to ride a bike. Sure, yeah, my mom and dad tried to steer me in the right path. But all I saw was hate. I couldn't see that my parents loved me for me. I couldn't see that it was okay to feel vulnerable. I was too blind to see that even my brother with special needs can radiate love to a pariah like me, to an outcast. The reason why I'm so pissed off and so upset was that man that I saw yesterday. I don't know how long he's been suffering like that, suffering that turmoil. I don't know how long he's been in broken relationships, whether it's his family or his first family, meaning his children or his wife or his partner. I don't know, or his mom and his dad. I don't know how long he's been drifting between friends, trying to find the right fit. But that was me. That man, that paranoid bastard that you saw roaming in and around the church, that was me. That was me 8 years ago. Before one of the pastors brought me from my house to the church. That was me. And all it took was one of the pastors came up to me and said, when I told him about my experience in life, he said, and this was the exact words that I said to that man, was, you don't need to worry, just relax. And I couldn't break through. And when I needed help, I couldn't say anything because I saw that look that I got when I was a kid from other people. I was afraid to say, listen, can you talk to this brother? Can you assure to him and help me assure to him that he will be saved? But you leaders at my church, you couldn't see that. You couldn't see what I saw. All of you may be wondering, like, why am I crying over somebody that probably is deranged? Well, because I used to be like that. I used to be mad at the world. I used to think every cop had it out for me. Cruising one time in Waikiki, my mom and dad let me do that when I was 14. I had a gun put to my head because I assaulted an undercover cop. Charges were thrown under the table because they got the wrong guy. Of all things. And I learned so much from that. I learned how to approach people better. But did that help with anything? No. Yet the people that I call family, at the church that I go to, gave that man in front of me a look of hate, a look of disgust and fear. Let me ask you, how do you sleep at night knowing this, knowing that God saved you? Yet you yourselves who call yourselves leaders, whether you be leaders of a church, leaders of a country, leaders of a nation, leaders of a regular volunteer group, whatever, how do you go to sleep knowing that you could have done more but didn't? Because I sure as hell want to know how I can get over that. I could have stayed with the guy, dropped my parents at home, made the case that I needed to go back to church, but that would be a lie. Because what I wanted to do was make sure that man was safe. Put him in a spot where I know he would be safe. But I couldn't. So I relied on people to do it for me. Of the 5 siblings that I have, of the 4 other siblings that I have, 3 of them have their own lives to live. So it's just me and my special needs brother. Yet people just look at that man. He had Japanese tribal style tattoos, a kabuki mask, a demonized kabuki mask on his back, and several Japanese kanji surrounding it. All they did was look. All they did was look. I did a stint as a part of the what they call the parking ministry. What I learned was to go up and say hi should somebody walk in and need help. Yet I feel like shit for doing that. I feel like shit because the leaders at my church couldn't do it when I'm gone, and he was left running around, probably feeling unsafe. But probably the reason why he came back was to look for me. Now he may have wanted to hurt me, but let me just rest assured, I know how to defend myself. I know how to make things into weapons that are not necessarily made for weaponry. So I could have defended myself. But I listened to my parents and and my aunties and uncles that I've talked to about this, they said you've done all you could. But I know that they were just telling me things that I wanted to hear. So what's the point of this rant video? What's the point of my tears? What's the point of me being upset over something I had no control over? Well, it's simple. The fact of the matter is, I had control. I had the control. I had the ability to make that man feel safe. But I had to make a decision. And that's what leadership is. Making a decision and sticking with it. Not running away from it. All that man wanted was just to be heard. You just need to look in a person's eyes and you can see their story. I made a life skill of using that, doing that. I learned that skill from my mom and dad. Just looking into a person's eyes. They may have the best poker face, but there's a saying that the eyes are the key to a person's soul. And I can tell through those severely dilated pupils, glassy and glossy as fuck, that they just needed somebody to hear his voice. Hear his voice and have him assured that he was heard. But I couldn't even do that. Shit, I'm no greater than the people that I'm upset with and disappointed in. But if there's one positive note that I can say, and as words of encouragement to those of you looking into leadership positions, whether you be a manager or whether you're going to start your own business, inspire greatness. How do you inspire greatness? Easy. First, make a person feel safe. Second, make a person feel like they can be themselves around you. Their true selves. Now, granted, some people's true selves are pretty evil. But inside that evilness, again, is another self. That self that wants to be out there, be happy, and inspire happiness, and be a leader too, to inspire greatness. So how can you inspire greatness in others? Simply, like I said, make a person feel safe. How do you make them feel safe if you don't have a weapon? How do you make them feel safe if you don't know how to fight? Well, simple. Sometimes the best thing to do is not fight, to approach it humbly. And there's this one saying my auntie always tells me and my friends in the Burmese community is that sometimes you have to spiritually remove yourself from the situation. Meaning, you have to look at it not with the heart of a human, but a heart of a machine. And figure it out logically. Saying that if you don't want to fight, then let's talk. And through conversation, you can open up doors in a person's heart that probably have never been opened. And then that leads to the second. Allowing themselves to be themselves. Meaning if they're hungover, they're more than likely still drunk. So everybody has that happy drunk phase. Get to that phase. So that way he can be a happy guy and be calm. And especially in a situation like what I faced Sunday, um, it was one of those things where I was so close yet so far. And when I needed the help the most, I felt it wasn't directed at me, but it was directed at the man that I was trying to help. And rant.